Hello everybody, we're back with another fact acceptance reaction video, and I've not seen any of these clips. I've only seen the first few seconds and then downloaded them, so we're going to be watching them for the first time together, and let's just get straight into it.
Have we seen that the UK government think they're going to fix the economy by giving people weight loss jabs so that they get back to work?
Just for my non-UK friends, the UK economy has been going through a bit of a turbulent time recently, and we have had a really big issue with the cost of living crisis, where things are getting increasingly expensive and people can't afford things. Our energy bills are a lot more expensive than other European countries. I think like 4 times more expensive, which is very silly. And that's due to politics behind it and stuff like that. And then, yeah, food is becoming quite expensive, like fruit and veg and stuff like that. But people are struggling. It is a known thing that people are genuinely struggling with bills and food and things like that. And also, our unemployment rate has gone up, especially for younger generations, and some young people just aren't even going to work at all. They're going straight onto disability and for things like anxiety and depression, which of course are very serious conditions, but there is an element of people taking advantage of the system that we have, because we do have very good standardized healthcare and social services in place for people that need help. So there is a big concern of the system being taken advantage of in a lot of different ways. So that will probably be why the government are thinking of ways to help mitigate that. And our NHS is our healthcare system, and we all pay for that via our taxes. So if you're not working, you're not paying into the system. So, and that is struggling as well. It's not funded very well, but more to the point, the NHS doesn't use the money very well either. So it's kind of two-pronged effect, making it struggle. But there is a lot of strain on it as well, and obesity does cause a massive, massive problem for the NHS because it costs billions of pounds a year. So getting people that are obese to be not obese is important, irrespective of whether they go back to work or not. So that's just some background to kind of introduce the topic, and let's just go back to what she is talking about.
Now, my main problem with articles like this is the idea that fat people aren't working.
There are plenty of fat people who are not working, and whether they are not working due to their obesity or if they've got other health conditions is something that needs to be investigated. But there are going to be plenty of people that are very, very large, 23 stone, I don't know what that is in pounds, but let's just say it's 400 pounds, then you're not going to be working at that weight unless you're a very special kind of case. And there was a little documentary that came out a little while ago where it was, you're too fat to work, but you're getting lots and lots of money from the government in benefits. So there are people out there in this country that are so obese that they can't physically work, and that is a problem, and it shouldn't be tolerated, in my opinion, if you can do something about it.
Now, I am very fat, and I also have been running my own business for 13 years while fat. I bought my own house by myself off the income from my job just outside of London, so it's an expensive house.
Look, outside of London is incredibly expensive, and I'm very happy for her that she has her own business, it's doing very well, and that she has been successful enough to own her own house. But she is one person. I am one person. You're one person. Everybody is their own person. So you cannot judge an entire community based on that one individual. And just because she is a big woman and she's working doesn't mean everybody that's a big woman is working. So I think that she's kind of missing the point, and she's taking this as a personal attack. And the article isn't a personal attack against anybody. It's a more of a general statement that people that are super morbidly obese, who do want assistance and do want help, should be able to be given that help via the healthcare system so they can get to a more healthy weight and they can return to work and then contribute to the system. I think that's what the article is talking about. It's not saying you're so super obese and because you're obese you're not going to work and you're unhelpful in the economy. That's not what it was at all. So I think she has taken this quite personally, which is quite sad. I mean, there must be some kind of element inside of her that feels a sort of way about being a big woman. And she shouldn't. She's gorgeous. And like, if she's functional and she's happy, that's great. So that's not a personal attack on her. But there still needs to be a wider discussion about our healthcare system, because we do pay for it in our taxes and it is struggling. if there is something such as obesity that is causing a really, really big strain on the NHS, which it is, then that needs to be mitigated if it can be. We're not talking about things that can't be solved here. Obesity can be remedied, it can be reduced, and your health conditions can be then be lessened as a result of you losing weight. We're not attacking anybody individually, it's the condition itself. It's not the person, it's the condition. So just because you're obese and someone tells you to lose weight, they're not telling you that you need to be less. It's not you and your personality, it's not your likes, your dislikes, your interests, it's not that at all. It's literally just about your health and your body size. It's nothing to do with you as an individual, it's just your weight. That's it. But I think they do tend to make it very, very personal, and that's not what I don't think anybody really intends it to be.
That's my point. I work. I don't know any fat people that don't work.
Again, she is one person, and I imagine her circle isn't hundreds of people. So just because she doesn't know anybody that doesn't work because they're obese doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
The fat people that aren't working probably have other issues. They probably have disabilities or illnesses, right? If the reason that they are not working is their physical or mental health, it's not because they are fat.
I think she's kind of not convoluting it, but somebody who is super morbidly obese, let's say they are 200 kilos, that's a big person. It doesn't matter how tall you are, 200 kilos is a really big person. If you are 200 kilos or even 150 kilos, then you're going to have health conditions, whether you have them right now today or if you have them in 5 years' time. That's going to be a problem for you. And you're going to have joint issues. You're going to be foggy in the mind. It's going to affect you. And it's not necessarily just because of your weight, but it's the foods that you're eating that are making you become that big, because you don't get that big eating a whole foods diet. You're generally eating things like fast food like frozen pizzas and frozen nuggets and stuff like that. And whilst these foods aren't something that you should never, ever, ever have, you can enjoy them on occasion if that is something that you do enjoy. But to be 150 kilos, 200 kilos, you are eating an awful amount of that stuff, and it is going to affect you negatively. So she's saying that if you've got mental health or physical health that is leading you not to work, then that is the problem, it's not the weight. But what if the weight is causing those issues? You cannot tell me that anybody that is 200 kilos does not have a mental health condition that is then worsened by their weight. You just cannot tell me that. Of course, there are things that are mental health issues causing obesity, or causing you to overeat, which is causing obesity, but it does work the other way around as well. And anybody that is super obese is going to have knee pain, back pain, organ damage. They're going to have issues. They're going to maybe have diabetes. And then if you have diabetes and you're not controlling it, if you're still eating foods that have led you to have diabetes, you might get like diabetic retinopathy when you go blind. You might have really bad wounds on your feet that don't heal, and you might then have to have an amputation. So it all does stem in a roundabout way back to the weight. If you manage the weight, you will be much more likely to be able to manage the health conditions. So it is tied to the weight. So that is a very, very important thing that the government and the healthcare system in general needs to address. Of course, it is an individual concern. If you are obese, it is down to you to fix it. Unless you're a child, then it's down to your parents. But the government, because we're paying the government via our taxes, who are then funding the healthcare system, it's down to them to step in as well if the individuals aren't taking accountability for it and taking responsibility for it. So it is down to the weight. It is important that the government does something about it in however way they can. And I don't mean not allowing children to have birthday cake in nursery, which the government have proposed or brought in, which I think is very, very silly. If a baby is at nursery and they're having a birthday party, I don't think there's anything wrong with giving small children a birthday cake. It's once a year. So even if you've got a class of 10 children, that's still only 10 times a year that the children are getting birthday cake. So that's a bit silly, but anyway, that's a side point.
It's probably whatever health issue led to them being fat. And my other issue is that they could have come out and said, we're going to give people this jab on the NHS over whatever BMI they want to set as the thing, because it's going to make them healthier. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that these things will or won't make them healthier, but they could have come out and said, we are going to treat some of the reasons that people get this fat, some of the metabolic reasons, some of the genetic.
Okay, so she's going on to the genetic reasons as well, and I understand what she's saying about you don't have to tie the obesity jab with the economy. I think that's why she feels so personally attacked from it, because she is a functional member of society and is contributing to the system via her business. So I think that's why she feels so vehemently against the article that she's read. But also, she's saying that you have to fight the condition that caused obesity. For the vast majority of people, the cause of obesity is overeating. And don't get me wrong, I know it's very hard to change a diet. I've done it, so I know it's difficult. Don't get me wrong, I respect that. But also, it is quite easy to lose weight once you've got your head around that element. And yes, it is a really big part of the puzzle to understand how to eat properly. But once you have done that, and once you have kind of gotten yourself into that situation where you're like, I'm tired of living like this, I want to feel better, I want to do better for myself, I love myself enough to do better for myself, then actually changing your diet and eating veggies and eating fruits and eating lean protein isn't that hard. But there are very, very, very few genetic reasons why somebody would be obese. It is so incredibly rare for a person to have a genetic condition that causes them to be obese. And the vast majority of people will not have a genetic element that causes that. You see obesity run in families. So you'll see the grandparents are obese, the parents are obese, and the children are obese. That is not because it's a genetic issue, it's because it's a lifestyle. And parents tend to show their children the lifestyle. So if your parents are eating fast food and they're not cooking at home, that's what the children are going to be eating too. So if the children are eating really, really big portions of takeaway food or fast food or whatever it is, they're going to be chunky as well. And that is why you see it in families, because the parents teach the children and the children then teach their own children. So that is why you see it in families. It's not a genetic element. And there's the phrase that genetics loads the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. So genetic reasons, it's not really there, and obesity is generally causes metabolic issues. So if you are very, very obese, the adipose tissue, so the fat tissue, is actually hormonally active. So it releases things like estrogen. If you've got too much estrogen in your body, it can cause certain problems with your reproductive system, which is why super obese women, or obese women in general, tend to have a higher risk of ovarian cancer and cervical cancer. It's due to the estrogen that the fat releases. So she's not entirely wrong about the metabolic issues, and metabolic issues and problems with hormones can result in weight gain, but it is still the food that you're eating. It's not the metabolic issues causing you to gain fat, it's the food that you're eating that your body craves due to the metabolic issues, if that makes sense. But I see what she's saying, but I think she's missed a little bit of the point slightly. But I do understand what she's saying.
Reasons. Instead, they had to say, these fat people are lazy and we're going to force them to work by giving them this jab.
They didn't say fat people are lazy. And they didn't say they're going to force people to work either. I'll bring the article up. Just give me a moment. So here is the article. As you can see, it's from the BBC, and it's the unemployed could get weight loss jabs to return to work. So if we're looking at it, it says that proposals to give weight loss jabs to unemployed people living with obesity could be very important for our economy and our health, the Prime Minister has told the BBC. So yeah, so they need more money was needed for the NHS, and the government also needed to think differently to ease the pressure on the healthcare system. So they understand that the healthcare system is strained, and they need to think about how to reduce that strain, as I was talking about earlier. Never in this article did they say that fat people are lazy. They never said that. So it says some injections are already being prescribed on the NHS for the treatment of obesity and also for people with diabetes. So they're treating people. So you don't, in this country, you are not snatched off the street and put in a facility and forced to lose weight. That doesn't happen. If you are being treated for obesity in this country, you have gone to your doctor and asked for help. So these people have volunteered themselves for assistance. They've asked for that help and they're getting the help. So it says the NHS's latest health survey for England shows in 2022, 29% of adults in England were obese and 64% were deemed to be overweight. That is a lot of people that are obese and overweight. So that is not great. And then further, it says illnesses relating to obesity cost the NHS £11 billion a year. That is an insane amount of money that is being spent on obesity. So it's also talking about how it's been tied to other health conditions. And then it says, like, with the NHS spending around £10 billion a year, which is 9% of its budget, to care for people with diabetes. If losing weight will reduce the amount of diabetes in the country, it will reduce this £10 billion a year, and then the NHS will have a lot more of its budget available for other people to treat cancer and to treat other conditions that aren't caused by somebody's overeating. But yeah, never in here does it say that they're lazy. And it says the health secretary added the weight loss injections could benefit the economy too, reducing the number of sick days caused by obesity. Illnesses caused by obesity causes people to take an extra 4 sick days a year on average, while many others are forced out of work altogether. However, individuals will still need to remain responsible for taking healthy living more seriously, as the NHS can't be expected to always pick up the tab for unhealthy lifestyles. As a country, we're eating more, eating less healthily, and exercising less. The costs to the individuals are clear, a less healthy, and a shorter life. So never in that did they say that they were lazy. They were saying that the NHS can help you, but the people also need to have their part in this battle against obesity. So they didn't say that they're lazy, and they were saying that yes, obese people are working, but they're also struggling with that because they're getting more sick due to their obesity. And in this country, everywhere I've worked, I've been paid sick leave. So we got, for example, 10 sick days a year. So whenever you're sick throughout the year, you just call up, like, I'm not very well, I'm not coming in. And you still get paid for that day. I know some companies don't do that, so you don't get paid for sick days. But irrespective of that, it still costs the company money. And it's not great. And companies shouldn't be forced to pay for it if there is a solution that can be beneficial to literally everybody involved. It'll be beneficial to the NHS, it'll be beneficial to the individual, and it'll be beneficial to the economy.
Like, it's almost like they knew that they couldn't just say that they were going to help fat people lose weight. They had to make it seem like fat people are lazy and we're going to have to force them to work by doing this thing.
They didn't say that at all. They did say that they were going to help people lose weight, and they never said they were going to force it. That's not something that the NHS does. If you don't want to get better, they're not going to force you to get better, unless you are kind of like sectioned or kind of put against your will. But if you're obese, they're not going to, as I said, snatch you off the street and force you to lose weight. That just doesn't happen.
Right? It's like they knew that they couldn't do a good thing for fat people because people would not accept that.
That's not the case at all. The NHS and the government in general does a lot of things that a lot of people disagree with by spending taxpayer monies on things that the taxpayer doesn't like, but they still do it, and nobody would have an issue with the government or the healthcare system helping obese people to become less obese, because it literally does help everybody involved. It helps the other people that are going to the healthcare system for a cancer or COPD or a broken leg, because their wait times will be shorter, and you'll get seen faster. There'll be less backlog and stuff like that. So it will be beneficial for literally everybody involved. It's not just, well, you're fat and I don't want you to get better. I don't think anybody really thinks like that. I think most reasonable people, if you ask them, would you wish fat people are healthier? They'd say yes. And do you think the NHS should help them? Well, yes. I don't think people are going to be against it just because it's helping fat people.
People would not accept public money going to fat people because fat people are the scapegoats. And it's the same as like in 2020 where they were like, oh, it's all the fat people who are succumbing to this illness. And it's the same now.
They were. Obese people were more susceptible to that pandemic illness that we had, and they were absolutely stuffing the hospitals because they were getting ill and they needed hospital care. I damaged my back in 2020 in May, and I physically couldn't stand up and my feet were going numb. I could not get in to see a doctor because of the illness, and the hospitals were absolutely rammed with people that had the pandemic illness. I couldn't get seen for months, and by the time I was seen by a doctor in person, it was too late to do anything, and I've now got back issues for the rest of my life. So yes, obese people were more susceptible to the condition, and it did affect them a lot more negatively than it affected more normal weight people. Yes, some normal weight people did die of it and they were very, very sick. But in general, obese people were more susceptible to it because their immune system isn't as strong. And that goes for every single illness that is out there. Even the common cold, obese people tend to be more affected by it. So her saying that as if it's not true is nonsense.
They're like, oh, our economy is effed. The fat people didn't do it.
No, but the fat people are putting a strain on the NHS, which is then a big issue. So whether take the economy out of it, there's still a big strain on the NHS. So does the NHS not matter? As long as you get your healthcare, that's okay. Stuff everybody else. And if you are taking more sick days because you're obese, then it is affecting the economy. I don't understand why she is so personally offended by this article because it is true. And if she doesn't like it, I don't understand why, because she does seem to be missing the points of the actual article itself. It wasn't a personal attack. It wasn't saying fat people are lazy and they're useless and they're the ones that are causing all the problems. They never said that fat people are causing the economic issues the UK is having. They said they're contributing to it, but lots of things are contributing to it. So it's not a direct thing at them. That's just the article that it was talking about. There are plenty of other articles that are naming and shaming other things. So it's not just fat people at all.
You did it. And then they're like, let's use the fat people again. Let's see, it's because the fat people aren't working. That's why. So we need to fix them with some medication and then we can make them work.
If you need help losing weight, there is no shame in that. If you need a medication to help you lose weight, get that medication if you can. And then lose the weight, be a healthier version of yourself, you'll feel much better, you'll be more productive, and you should be able to go back to work if your weight was preventing you from working beforehand. You will feel much better doing that, and you will live a much better life if you've got a steady income that is more than the benefits you're going to be receiving anyway. So, and I don't think she's taking into account that some people do want to lose weight. Some people genuinely struggle with their weight from very young childhood into adulthood. They hate their body, they hate how they feel, they hate how they look, they hate everything about their body. This NHS jab could help change those people's lives, and she is talking about it with such disdain and disgust. How does she think that makes those people feel that genuinely want that help, who want that drug, who want to improve their life? She's then saying that they're wrong and it's disgusting and you're just a scapegoat and whatever. It's actually quite mean what she's saying and the way she's saying it.
And the thing is, look, I'm actually very happy that fat people who want this jab will be able to access it on the NHS. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with public money going towards the care of fat people. I do have a problem with the way this is being framed because it's yet another brick in the wall of fat phobia, right?
You can't be fat phobic if you're just stating facts, and it's a fact that obesity costs the NHS billions of pounds a year, and that is not fair on the taxpayer, and it's not fair on anybody else that wants to access the healthcare system and is then delayed because it is full of obese people. That's not fair. So yeah, she doesn't like it, but just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's not true.
They can never do anything without there being this real edge to it, without there being this blame to it, without it kind of the underlying message being fat people are a drain on society, they're a drain on the economy, they are lazy and we need to fix them.
In the harshest of terms, fat people are a drain on the society because they are draining the NHS, they're not contributing as much as normal weight people, and they are just taking up more resources that don't need to be taken up in that moment. So in the harshest of terms, that is true, but nobody is saying that. I don't think most people would say that fat people shouldn't exist or anything like that. They may say that people shouldn't be obese, but they're not saying that the people who are obese shouldn't exist. That's not true. They're not saying that obese people who exist shouldn't get healthcare. Not saying that either, because we're still paying for it. So the fact that she is so offended and she's taken this so to heart, I do wonder if she has some kind of really deep kind of insecurity in herself about her weight, and I wonder if she's one of those people that have tried over and over again to lose weight and hasn't been successful, and that is why she feels so offended by the NHS telling people we can do this to help you, but you also need to get it together on your own too. I wonder if that's why she feels so offended, because she's failed at weight loss before. But I obviously I don't know, but she is very defensive in this.
Right? I'm just tired.
Okay, so that's the end of that video, and yeah. So this lady says, "Sorry to trigger you, but real men know this is what a healthy body looks like." It's a very short clip. This is not a healthy body at all. She's not healthy, not in the slightest. And you can see all this visceral fat here around her organs. That's not good for you. She obviously, her bust is large, but could be genetic. You can't really control your bust size. And you can see as she sits up how big she is from her back to her front, and the fact that all of her fat is primarily around her organs is not good at all. That will impact their function, that will cause them to struggle under the weight of the fat on them, and it is not good for you in the slightest. And you can see her arms, her arms are pretty big. She's just a big girl. She's not healthy. She's pretty, but she's not healthy. And it's like, even though her bust is large, it looks like she's being suffocated when she lays down. That can't be comfortable to lay like this, because I wonder how well she can breathe when she's lying flat on her back. I imagine it's not very well. And yes, her bust is large, as I've said, but also there is a lot of pressure on her chest from her obesity anyway. That's not a healthy body at all. Okay, so we're going to go into another longer video, and this lady is talking about fat phobia again. Again, I've not seen this video, so we're just going to get into it because I've already been talking for quite a while.
Understand why people don't like fat people.
She said, "I don't understand why people don't like fat people." I don't think anybody dislikes fat people, and that's a very odd thing if people do. But I'm just going to turn her up a little bit because I can't hear her very well. But yeah, let's just see what she says.
And I'm not talking about in the sense of everybody should be kind to each other, because that's obvious. I've been on my calorie deficit now for 2 weeks, and let me tell you something. Firstly, you have to have money. And I know immediately the comments are going to be like, but sure.
Oh, I'm curious to see what she means by needing money to be in a calorie deficit, because I can't see how that would be the case. As I've said, I've been on calorie deficits before, and it was a lot cheaper for me than kind of eating out and stuff, so I don't really know.
Surely if you're on a diet and you're eating less calories, surely that would mean that you're not buying as much food. That's fair enough. However, instead of buying, let's say, £2-3 on a pizza, that could do you for a full meal. That's a full meal there.
One whole pizza is more than one meal. Just as a note, I think a serving of pizza, I think, is like a quarter or something. I don't know, I don't like pizza. But one pizza is more than one serving. And you can make it a lot more than one serving by, if you have, say, half a pizza and a really big salad on the side, or lots and lots of veggies. It will fill you up just as much as having both halves of the pizza, and it'll be much better for you, and you'd be in a calorie deficit. So
I'm spending what, £3-4 on grapes.
I don't know where she's paying £3 or £4 for grapes. Grapes are £1.60 in Asda, so they're not that expensive. Strawberries are expensive, berries are expensive in general, but grapes are not that bad. You can get £2 for £3, 2 packs of grapes for £3 in many supermarkets, unless you're buying them really, really out of season. But I've never ever bought grapes for £3, and I eat a lot of grapes. Certainly not for £4 unless you're buying them organic at some market.
On strawberries, I'm spending £10 alone on fruit, because you have to buy all of the fruit you need. You have to buy...
Okay, so she's doing this in a not sensible way, and I don't mean that as an attack to her. I mean it as somebody who has learned all of these lessons before. So the way I manage fruit is, you can buy really big family bags of apples, and you get maybe 12 or 13, maybe even 15 apples in a bag, and it's £3. So that's a lot of apples. Obviously, she might not like apples, but then you can also buy bananas. I bought a bunch of bananas. It was, I think, 5 bananas. They were all pretty big, and they were 89 pence from Tesco. So you can buy fruit, and it doesn't have to be expensive. Alternatively, you can buy frozen fruit. You can buy frozen berries. You get a lot more than you'd buy in a punnet, and it's a lot cheaper, and it's got just as much nutritional value in it than fresh strawberries, for example. So there are ways around it. Don't get me wrong, fruit is expensive, but it doesn't have to be as expensive as she is making it out to be.
Everything fresh so that you can cook it.
You don't need everything fresh. You can buy it frozen. I tend to eat a lot. I eat a lot of frozen veg. Frozen broccoli, frozen peas, and frozen green beans are my go-tos. I just absolutely love them. And you can buy a bag of frozen peas for, I think, £1.10. Frozen broccoli, about £1, and beans also about £1. So in those 3 bags of vegetables, let's round up to £4. It's not that much, but let's round it up to £4. You've got 3 massive bags of veggies that you can make many, many meals out of. Obviously, you're not just going to be eating straight vegetables, but you can use quite a lot of veggies to bulk up a meal to make you feel less full and still have very minimal calories. Things like pepper and carrots. Carrots are really, really cheap. You can buy a kilo bag of carrots for 89 pence in this country in Tesco, and I keep mentioning Tesco because that's where I tend to shop. So you can go to get 2 bags of carrots, which is 2 kilos, for under £2. You can chop them up, freeze them, grate them, cook them fresh, whatever you want to do. But you can have a really big stock of veggies in your freezer and it not cost you an absolute fortune. I do understand what you're saying, but there are alternatives that you can make.
To make it healthy. Like, unless you're making a lot of money, you physically can't afford healthy food in the first place.
You can.
I understand it, I really do. And now that I'm seeing it for myself, it's crazy. It's making me so mad.
It's like lettuce. You can bulk up meals with lettuce and cabbage. Again, they're quite cheap. When I was at uni, I used to spend about £15 a week on food, and that was it. And I used to eat 3 meals a day, and I was very happy and healthy and content in what I was doing. It used to fuel me for my workouts and everything. And things like oats for porridge in the morning, it's pretty cheap and it lasts a long time. Even things like bran flakes, if you prefer cereals and stuff, that's relatively cheap for a really big box. You can make food last and it be cheaper than buying fast food and buying frozen food, because I never ever buy frozen pizzas and stuff like that. I just don't like it. But I've never spent an absolute fortune on food. I just buy frozen veggies, really.
Especially like single mothers, for example, or single parents in general. Like, they're going to be looking after the kids. They definitely won't have enough money to be looking after themselves.
The thing with the children, if you've got children, you need to model a healthy lifestyle. If you're obese and you've got children, chances are they're going to be obese too. And if you're eating frozen pizzas and frozen nuggets and frozen chips all the time, that's what your children are going to be eating. They're going to grow up obese as well. And they're going to go through the exact same struggles. I know it's difficult. I can't even imagine being a single parent struggling to feed my children. But there are food banks in this country that you can get fruit and veg. I know that you can do that, and then you can get there are plenty of organisations that will help you if you can't afford it. And as I've said, there are alternatives to frozen pizzas that you can get that are relatively cheap and much better for you. Frozen veggies, frozen chicken breast, frozen meats. It is doable. It's tricky and it's a lot to learn, but it is doable.
Also students who are in uni, and others.
I was a student. I never struggled with buying food, as I've said, and I was a self-funded student. I paid for everything myself, the tuition, the rent, the food, everything, and I didn't struggle that much, and I wasn't working at the time either.
A little bit of an inside joke about
And I wasn't on benefits either. I was just entirely self-funded.
students eating pasta and cheese, for example, which is like girl dinner. We all love it, but let's be real, it's not the healthiest. It's because they can't afford it.
They can afford it, they don't want to afford it. They're too busy spending money on alcohol. I went to uni with a student and we were all the same age, late teens, and he spent every single week over £200 a week on alcohol every single week, and then he wondered why he didn't have enough money to buy other stuff, and thought, well, you spent it all on alcohol, that's why. So you can afford it, you're choosing not to.
Another thing for me is the gym. I can't afford to go to the gym. It's way too expensive where I live. I'm having to do all of my work.
To her, fair enough on that. Gyms are incredibly expensive. Local gym to me is like £50 a month, which is insane. But some gyms are about £20, which isn't horrendous. It's still quite dear, but if you go regularly, if you go 4 times a week, then it is worth it. I'm quite fortunate that I've got a home gym, so I don't need to go to a gym. But I used to, and it used to cost me about £20 a month, which wasn't that bad.
Workouts at home, which then is meaning that I'm having to buy equipment because I live in a flat and like I don't have stairs, for example.
Also, you're not going to lose weight from exercise. You cannot outrun a bad diet. Change the food and you'll drop the weight regardless of your exercise. So it's the food, it's not the exercise.
So one of the things I've bought is like a stepper thing so that I can step up onto it. Also I had to buy a bike to do some bike exercise. Yes, I know we can go for walks. I'm obviously aware of that. However, I mean, for a bit of intensity added to it, I'd also like to do weights just to help my back a little bit. Another thing,
I imagine her back hurts because of her weight, and I don't mean that to be mean. She could have a different condition that hurts her back, but I imagine her weight has a big part in it because she's a big girl. And it's fantastic that she's got the stepper and she's got the bike and she's doing all the right things. I think she just needs a bit more guidance on where to get the healthy foods and how to get them cheaply. If anybody's interested, I could do like a video showing how I eat healthily on a budget, and if that is something that you're interested in, I could maybe do something like that. But it is possible. It's hard, but it's possible, and it can be done.
is time. I know this one's also going to be very controversial because there's going to be people who are straight away in the comments writing, well, everyone's got time. Yes, everyone's got time to do a 10k. When you're at work, it builds up. Like, we all realistically should be doing 10,000 steps a day. I understand that, and I think it should be important for all of us to make that possible. However, my mum, for example, is a bigger lady. She's a lot bigger than I am. She works 30 to 40 hours a week. She does not have time at all. She comes back home, she's exhausted. Like,
Okay, so this is kind of tying into what I said previously about it's not genetics, it's lifestyle. So her mum is a big lady, she's a big lady, and if she's got children, I imagine her children are chunky. Not to be nasty to the children, not to be nasty to her. She seems like a genuinely, absolutely lovely woman. Like the way she's speaking and everything, she seems genuinely lovely. I think she just needs some more help. And the thing with the 10,000 steps is that she is quite right. Some people have more time than others, and I imagine her mum, I don't know how old this young lady is, but if her mum, say her mum's in her 50s, then if she's been a big woman all her life, that is going to have taken a toll on her joints, on her back, on her organs, on her health in general. I imagine she just doesn't want to because she is so big, and being big is tiring because you're carrying around all that extra weight. So I'm not surprised that she's tired after coming home from working 40 hours a week. That doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I used to get tired working like that, and I'm a young, healthy person. So I do understand that. And if she's got little children, I don't know if she's got kids obviously, then she could take them to the park, and when the children are playing in the park, she could just do laps around the park. It might not get her to her 10,000, but it would be beneficial for her, it would be beneficial for the children, she'd get to bond with her babies, and they'd get the fresh air and everything like that. Obviously I don't know what her situation is, and I know that if you are living in a flat and you are working, it can be tricky. But then you've just got to make choices, active choices, to get that in on purpose. So go for a morning walk before work. At lunchtime, don't just sit at your desk and have a chat with your mates. Ask them, like, after we've had our lunch, do you want to go for a quick walk? That's what I used to do at work. We used to get a half an hour lunch break, and we used to walk, lots of us would walk around the work site and go and see the trees and everything like that. And then when you get home, maybe do that, do another walk. Or if she lives within walking distance of her work, she could walk to work, she could cycle to work. Obviously I don't know all these things, but there are ways around it. She could ask for maybe like a standing desk at work. If she's got a back problem and standing up helps her, she could say, well, I've got a health condition, I need this to help me, and her workplace would be legally obliged to help her with that. So there are things that she could do that could help her, but again, it's just she needs a little bit more guidance, I think. And if she had somebody to help her and say, well, maybe you could do this and this instead of that, and I think she would do really, really well, because she does seem determined, and I think she just feels a bit drained because she just doesn't know how to do it. So yeah, I think the guidance is a problem here.
But you wanting her to like make herself mentally or physically tired? I'm so mad because I don't understand what we're meant to do. This is why I don't understand why fat phobia is a thing in the first place. Obviously, as I said before, kindness is so important, and I think we could do better with being kinder to each other, for sure.
I mean, I think she's right in that. I think people can be kinder to each other, and there is no reason to be mean to anybody, especially for their weight. Like, it doesn't matter, realistically, at the end of the day. If they're still a lovely person, they're a lovely person. She seems like an absolute gem of a person. I don't think anybody would have a problem hanging out with her, chatting with her, going to dinner and stuff with her. I don't think anybody would have an issue with that, because she seems like a lovely person. If anybody came up to her and was like, oh, I'm not going to speak to you because you're obese, then that's crazy, and they're not worth talking to anyway. But I don't know if, say, if I was her colleague and we were buddies, if I said to her, like, hey, like, I know you're on this health journey and stuff, and I know it's hard, I've been there, would you like me to help you? I don't know if she would find that offensive, because I could probably help her if I knew her and knew her situation, in terms of like, well, we can go shopping together and I'll show you what I get and I'll show you the cost of that, and then we can see what will work for you, sort of thing. So I don't know if she would find that to be fat phobic as well, but yeah, I don't know.
But there's also that genuine lack of understanding that, you know, all of these things are very real. I don't understand how you're supposed to do better or eat healthy or just go out more, or, well, why don't you just exercise, or why don't you just eat better or eat less? Like, it's this genuine I'm not even sure what the word is, like, innocence.
She seems like such a sweet person, bless her, and you can tell that she is genuinely confused and bamboozled of how to manage the situation that she's in. And I do feel for her, I truly do. And I think if somebody could just like step in and show her the way of buying food that was good for you but not expensive, I think she would do great things. But she just needs that help, and I think that is where our NHS and stuff is lacking, because lots of people are in a similar situation to her of, I want to lose weight but I work, I'm busy, I've got children, I can't do that, I can't afford it. They just need to be shown you can afford it, and if you can't, there are these ways that we can help you. And I think that is where the education is lacking, and I think maybe it should be brought into schools for older children, like 14, 15 plus, to show them how to budget food properly, how to budget, but also how to buy food that are good for you. I think that just need to be brought in, because that education is definitely lacking.
To not realising the true situation.
Don't get mad.
Okay. Yeah, I think she just needs a little bit of guidance, and then I think she would be fine. But yeah, let's just see what this next woman is talking about.
I didn't even want to tell you this, but your before and after will not save you from being fat again.
She seems very bitter. I think, yeah, she seems really quite bitter, actually. Just from the
I think the
first
rise of
instance.
Ozempic has made everyone so brazen and bold to talk about weight loss in such a fatphobic way. Listen, personally,
I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about weight loss. I think if you've achieved weight loss, that's a really big thing, and you should be happy for yourself, and that's great. And if you want to show off your before and afters, do it. Be happy and revel in your achievement. I don't think anybody should be discouraged from that just because you feel a certain way about it. It's like, if I was chunky and I didn't like talking about weight loss, then if anybody brought it up to me, I would just change the subject. I mean, I used to do that as a fat kid, so yeah, but I was never offended by somebody else's before and after. I always used to look at them and think, I wish I could do that. or like sad for myself that I wasn't in that position. But I was never feeling a certain way and thinking that people shouldn't post them.
I don't think it's my business, nor do I care what you do with your body and if you lose or you gain weight. But
that sounds to be false, because it seems like she does care an awful lot.
I think posting about it is damaging for you and for the people who are looking at it. I try to understand.
And there we go. I think she does care an awful lot, and I think she feels how I felt as a fat kid, in that she doesn't want to see it because she can't do it. I think that's what the problem is for her. I don't think it's anything to do with the fact that she thinks it's damaging for the person who's lost weight. I think she thinks it's damaging for her because it reminds her that she can't do what she wants, and I think she does want to lose weight, and I think she struggled with it. And seeing other people succeed makes her feel a certain way.
And why, and then I try to put myself in your shoes. And when I look at it from the grand scheme of things, from the big general perspective, it makes sense. Of course you want to post your before and after photo. Many see it as a notable accomplishment. So of course you're posting about your weight loss.
Yeah, it does make sense, and it is a big accomplishment, especially for people that have lost an awful lot of weight. They should feel happy about it, and they should be proud of what they've done. I don't think there's any issue with that whatsoever.
Makes sense, right? And I don't blame you. I think that wanting to be part of this fitness club is something that society is pushing us all into. And then
I don't think anybody is losing weight to be part of a fitness club. I mean, there could be some people that are doing that, but I imagine most people are doing it to feel better in their bodies, whether that is how their body actually feels in terms of like the foods that you eat makes you feel sluggish or not, or they just want to look pretty or look good in their opinion. They want to look good for their partner, they want to look good for the women at work, they want to look good for the men on the bus. It doesn't matter why somebody's doing something, they're doing it for them, and the reasons aren't that important. It's more of the acts and how they got there. If they're losing weight via unhealthy means, that's not great. But if they're losing weight by eating better and moving more, then more power to them, and they should be proud of it, and they should post it.
it turns to be that maybe one
to.
of the reasons that you post this is to inspire other fat people to lose weight. But then
I was always inspired to lose weight when I used to see them, but then I would also think, well, I can't do it. I've never been able to do it, and that will never be me, and I'll never achieve that, and I'll be fat forever. And then I got older and learned how to do it, and then here I am, much better.
where you lose me, because I thought this.
Though I have never ever posted a before and after photo, ever, and I probably never will, because it's my own personal achievement, and I did it for me, and because I did it for me, I'm the only one that needs to see it, and that's how I feel about it from my personal journey.
This whole process was for you. I don't know what the point of posting it is. We can see it. We see you have gotten into a smaller body now. What ends up happening and what you're showcasing is that you went from being the oppressed to being the oppressor. And
That's a wild statement. That's actually quite crazy to say that. Nobody is an oppressor because they've lost weight or because they're thin. Slim people are not the oppressors. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. What makes her think that a slim person is an oppressor? Look at North Korea. Their leader isn't thin. That's the complete opposite in that situation. What is she talking about? And she is incredibly bitter about this, isn't she? Like, I thought this was for you. Why are you posting it? Wow. I've never seen somebody be so bitter about somebody else's achievement. Oh my goodness.
Okay with that. Now here's the kicker. Statistically, proven by science, not by me, so don't get mad at me.
Yeah, she's bitter.
You will gain the weight back.
That's not true. The thing that they always bring up is 99% of diets fail, or you gain the weight back in 98% of cases, whatever it is. It's like, yes, because diets are temporary. If you're going on a diet, you're doing something for a short amount of time. If you're going on holiday in 6 weeks and then you go on a diet for 6 weeks to look good for your holiday, when you then come home and you go back to your normal eating habits, of course you're going to gain the weight back because you're returning to the eating habits that made you fat in the first place. But if you make a lifestyle change and you genuinely change the way you eat and the activity that you do, you are going to maintain that weight because you're then going to be eating at maintenance because the way you ate got you down to that size, if you kind of understand what I mean. And also, just because you might gain the weight back doesn't mean you can't celebrate the accomplishment that you've made today. It's like I used to run pre-spinal injury, I used to celebrate my personal best for my running and stuff like that. I used to be like, oh, well, I ran 5 miles in this time today, and that was great because last week I did it in this time. Should I never have talked to my friends about my running because now I physically cannot run and I lost the ability to run after an injury? Does that mean that I should never have spoken about what I did before? We can all lose things in life. We can all lose our health. We can lose mobility. We can lose eyesight. Does that mean we can't celebrate them now that we've got them? I might enjoy the sunset, and I might enjoy looking at the trees in autumn. I might have an accident and lose my vision. Does that mean I shouldn't celebrate what I can see today? That's a very, very mean-spirited thing to say, that you've lost weight but you shouldn't be proud of it because you're going to gain that back. That's quite nasty, actually.
In 2 to 5 years. Now, I've met a lot of friends who have gotten multiple surgeries and have done things to lose weight. And I met them years ago, and now they're back to their original weight.
That would be because they didn't do the work before the surgeries in terms of changing your view on food and your view on your eating habits that then lead to sustainable weight loss. Is why on like My 600-Pound Life, doctor now makes the patients lose a certain amount of weight before surgery so they can prove that they can be consistent and stick to the diet that he's told them to stick to. If you're just going to go back to your original eating habits, you are obviously going to gain the weight back. That's just common sense. It's nothing to do with the diet failing. It's because you never made the changes to change your lifestyle and your eating habits. It's nothing to do with the diet itself. And you need to make a lifestyle change, not a diet.
Or some of them are probably a little bit even bigger than they were before. Now you find yourself being back into the same body that you hated before, the one that you were claiming was the worst version of you. And I'm not here to shame or to scold anyone. I think that it's a reasonable thing to want to be part of this thinness club, because
thinness club doesn't exist. You're not magically joined as a member of a club just because you've lost or gained weight. That's very silly. And it's like, I was at my peak fitness pre-spinal injury, funnily enough, and I used to love the way I looked. I was very toned and I enjoyed it, but then I got an injury and I couldn't do the things that I used to do, so I don't look the same way. I don't then look back at myself and think, oh well, I was so much better then, I was a better person, I should never have eaten enough to kind of gain weight after my spinal injury, made me be unable to do anything. Like, no, that's very silly. As I said, I'm much better now, but I'm not back to how I was, and I never will be, because I can't fix my spine. And I shouldn't be made to feel bad for gaining weight after a certain amount, an event in my life, just because previous to that I'd lost weight. I think she's just not very nice in this video.
Society has made this the ideal place to be. We all think that thinness is where we're going to achieve self-love.
Also, she's saying thinness. She's saying like thin. Does she mean thin or does she mean healthy? Because they are two completely different things. And you can be slim, you can be thin, you can be healthy, but you can be healthy and not thin. You don't have to be thin. So I would wonder what her definition of that is. Is her definition of thin a size 4 or a size 10 or a size 16? What is that? Because I imagine hers is a normal healthy weight woman. To her would probably be thin, which is a skewed perception of weight. And she said many of her friends in that have had weight loss surgeries, so I imagine her circle is quite big in terms of the people. So I imagine a lot of her friends are big people, because she's a really big woman as well. So she's consistently seeing that chunky person and thinking that that's normal because it is normal to her, when in reality it's not normal. So I think her view is a little bit skewed.
And careers and friendships and love, partners, and of course we all believe that, it's the long going myth of what thinness will bring to you. But I think it's more important for you to be,
I don't think anybody should have in their mind that their life will drastically improve when they lose weight. I mean, my life did get a little bit better because I had more self-confidence. So because I had more confidence, I could wear the clothes that I wanted to wear. I talked to more people. I had different relationships and stuff. So losing weight can change your life, but it's not necessarily the weight loss that changes your life. It's the confidence that you gain afterwards. and the ability to do more things that you couldn't do before. That's the life-changing bit, not the actual weight loss in and of itself.
At peace with yourself.
Be at peace with yourself, yes. Love yourself, yes. But love yourself enough to do what's best for you, and being the size she is not the best thing for her, because I imagine she either has currently or will have very soon health issues such as diabetes and stuff like that. And having diabetes is no fun because it affects everything in your body, and nobody wants that because it's not fun. I imagine she's got loads of joint pain. If she lost weight, probably go away, or at least get less. So yeah, be at peace with your body and love yourself, but do what's best for you at the same time.
You're a member of the Think Club now, but remember that your membership can be revoked at any moment.
That's nasty. That's a really nasty thing to say to someone. Like, yeah, you're thin now and you're pretty now and you're happy now, but you're going to get fat again, so just be careful of that, okay? That's really not very nice. That's something that you'd hear a mean girl say on the school playground to somebody. That's
and it'll
really
push
nasty.
you back to the end of the line where you began.
Yeah, that's nasty.
And the vicious cycle continues. I know this is a heavy topic, but I have spoken a lot more about this in depth in an essay.
Your before and after photos won't save you from being fat again. Wow. She is so bitter. I reckon she's one of those people that has definitely tried and failed to lose weight, and I bet she's done that since childhood. And she's just so angry at other people that have done it. I wonder if her anger towards men who have lost weight and done before and after photos is the same as her anger towards women that have done it. I imagine her anger towards women is much bigger.
On my Substack, All Things That with Just a Guitar. So if you want to talk more about this and you want to get my full opinions on this topic, go check out that essay. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
I think we might have to have a look at her in the future because I disagree with her fundamentally, and I think the way she delivers her messages is not very nice. So I'll be curious to see what else she has to say.
You want to know what's fat?
Okay, so I think this lady is just trying on jeans, and this video I find it quite funny. So I'm not sure if this is satire or if she genuinely means it, but either way, I thought it was quite funny. So she says, you want to know what is fatphobic?
Fatphobic jeans. Why do you give me so much room for my butt when I don't even have an ass? But you don't give me any room for my kabuchi.
Kabuchi killed me. I found that so funny. I don't even know why I found it funny. I've never heard that word before. It was so funny though. And I feel her. Jeans are something else. And it's like, now I've got a kind of odd body shape, and I've got quite a small waist and really wide hips, and jeans just do not fit me. I cannot find jeans for the life of me. So this is not a fatphobic thing, whether this is satire or not. This is not something against fat women. This is against women in general. Jeans just don't fit us very well, and that's just the end of it. But yeah, I feel her. I truly feel her.
My front butt, the place where my ass really is.
Oh, she's funny. I might have to look at more of her videos too. She's funny.
Here, it should not be this hard to put on jeans. It's sick. Fatphobia confirmed.
I think that is satire, but I think she's funny. But anyway, that's the last of these videos, and I've been talking for nearly an hour, so I'm gonna go now. I hope you've enjoyed this message, and if you've made it to the end of this really long video, thank you for being here. And yeah, let me know in the comments how you feel about what any of these people have said, and if you agree or disagree with them, if you agree or disagree with me. I would love to hear it and see what you guys think too. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye guys.